Wednesday edition. Mr. Relevant, I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber offices. One call at All Studio at the Avenue, downtown Milwaukee. JOSHY DiMaggio is here. Will Sommers is here for his Wednesday weekend review. And producer Tiny Hands Hunter Vaughn, who's grinding away today, is with us back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. Lots to get to today. I mentioned we'll get to Will's weekend review. One of the hit segments of this show. All of a sudden, Hot Shot Will Sommers. Good job, Will.
Thank you.
We'll get to One Word Wednesday at some point. Joshy's favorite part of the week, I think, is One Word Wednesday, right? Right, Joshy? Favorite part of the week?
I love to be here on Wednesdays.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
You know what I've noticed about Joshy is he loves what we call in the business a dead fish, right? You just say something that nobody can really react to. I love being here on Wednesdays. What do you want me to do with that?
The same thing I felt when you threw to me, Josh loves One Word Wednesday.
Just say yeah, and then I'll move on. The show will move ahead.
Waste of space, real estate.
Shut your mouth.
We got an hour here.
Shut your dirty mouth.
We might need the analytics department to come up with a stat on how many times this show starts with, you know what I noticed about Josh?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It's always an observation.
I'm still learning you, is what I've learned. You're a complex individual.
You'll never get the final answer. You'll never find the secret code.
I don't think that's
If we want to recap, we have to talk about what happened this morning.
Which is?
Your lovely better half.
Yeah.
Entering for maybe the first time I've ever seen her down here.
Yeah, she came to tell me about a flight she has that
Yes.
had to get moved. She's missing a concert we've had tickets to for
Yes.
months now. Super fun situation, yeah.
And what was the thing she said that raised both mine and Will's eyebrows?
She said to me, "Is this what you do every day? Just sit around and bug Joshy?"
Which to me felt like a vindication to a degree I couldn't really even properly put into words.
Real quick timeout. Will, can we also get the analytics department on how many times Josh has said he's the most vindicated man on the planet in the last 3 months?
It's going to say that on his tombstone. Josh DiMaggio. Vindicated.
2025 is the year of vindication for me.
Okay.
Because, yes, that's exactly what you do. You come around, you just poke and prod.
That's not really what I was doing today, though. I was very frustrated. I had a bad start to my day. Just general frustration. Everybody has it.
Right, and I commented, credit to me for being honest, I said, he's actually pretty tame today.
Yeah.
Because you were not as annoying as usual.
I was just frustrated.
Yes.
And I didn't want to take that out on you.
What a saint you are for that.
I agreed. Totally agree. So anyway, good to have everybody back together. Hunter back at the Everlight Solar Studios. I think Hunter likes the fact that this show is done in 2 different locations these days, because Hunter used to be my Joshy. That's the guy I would bug every morning and annoy to start my day. Hunter, you all good back there at the Everlight Solar Studio downtown Madison?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It is kind of nice. Like, there's days where I'm like, yeah, the office is still missing Strouf. Like, there's just a level of energy to that where I'm just like, yeah, it's not quite the same. But then I hear about things like this, and I'm like, nope, it's nice being quiet. I can get things done. I don't get distracted when somebody sitting behind me says something stupid. Like, it's good.
Yeah, like you know what song stuck in my head? I couldn't care less. I haven't.
That's a bad example. I've never said that.
Oh,
just said it
yes,
minutes
you
ago.
absolutely have.
I've never said that.
And you say it all the time. I wake up every morning singing a song. You know what song it was today? And then instead of telling me, you sing it to me.
I like blessing you with my talent.
That's
It's
the
annoying
problem.
as hell
You
as your
think you're
teammate.
blessing us. Yes, you think you're blessing us. The rest of us are going.
All right, can we do the show,
this again?
please? Can we do the show?
You're the one
I
that
don't know
didn't
what I'm
start
doing.
with, like, you could have just gone right into the tush push. Didn't have to
Correct.
do this. You brought this upon yourself.
NFL spring meetings taking place this week in Minneapolis, obviously the home of the Vikings. Today, a really interesting situation. It's been kind of going on all week, but we finally got to a decision on the long-awaited decision of the Tush push, which the Green Bay Packers, of course, were the team to propose its ban after losing to the Eagles, bookending their season with losses to the Eagles last year, week 1, and, of course, in the wild card round of the playoffs. It was a play they saw several times and a play they did not stop several times. So the solution for the Packers was to be the team that brought it up. Is this a legal football play? It was brought up at the annual meetings in Florida last month, and they couldn't reach a conclusion. Teams were split. Teams didn't want to vote yet. They needed more time to process their thoughts and ultimately their team's stance on the tush push. What happens today is teams mostly agree that the tush push is a legal football play and will not be banned going forward in the National Football League, at least in 2025. And you know what? I must say it's a sad day. It's a really sad day because this will be the final league meeting the Packers president and CEO Mark Murphy takes place in. And Mark Murphy wanted to be, at least in his career terms, his dying act to further the game of football, to make football a safer sport, to make football a more well-defined sport. Mark Murphy's final act falls short as the tush push will return in 2025. And here's the thing, Josh, I actually got a text from one of my buddies about this morning. You calling Mark Murphy the useful idiot is about as spot on as any analysis you could have on Mark Murphy. And again, we want to be clear. Idiot is usually used as a knock. In this context, it's actually not a knock. It's more of a compliment, I would argue, because Mark Murphy is the guy that will stick his neck out in terms of the NFL. He is the guy that will go ahead and say maybe the uncomfortable things that other owners don't want to say because they are expected to be in this room year after year after year, where Mark Murphy, especially the last few years, knows his time is winding down, and it will ultimately this summer as Ed Policy will take over as the president and CEO of the Packers. The point is here, Joshy, Mark Murphy wanted his final act to be something that furthered the game of football. He wanted to make football a safer place, and unfortunately, Mark Murphy's campaign falls short.
What really happened here is Mark Murphy and the NFL realized this was going to be the eve of his departure from being the president. So it did not matter attaching him and the Packers to the tush push ban because he's not going to be here much longer. Now, it seems like, and the Eagles are certainly pushing for it, they're trying very hard to make this a Packers thing. When we all know, all of us here know the reality of the situation, even specifically when asked, was the tush push ban something the NFL asked you to do? Mark Murphy, always coy, said, we're in constant communication with the NFL. So that is a confirmation without saying, yes, they were the ones who told us to do this. I have found myself rather indifferent to whether or not the tush push gets banned. I think you can make a pretty simple argument of it's not entertaining. The fact that there was a point they were going to award points if people didn't stop jumping off sides for it. There's a potential here, and it'll be interesting to see what teams choose to do when faced with, obviously, the tush push happening. Because I think an NFL team should dare the referees to award points in that situation. Okay, do it. See how this goes. See how you awarding the other team 6 points goes and how that looks. Because I don't think the NFL nor its fans are going to be a fan of that.
No. And obviously we saw it at one point this postseason where you just go, okay, here you go, right? As what you referenced. I am... Look, and obviously I'm being sarcastic when I say
yes.
Mark Murphy's final act was to further the game, right?
His final act was the draft.
His final act was the draft. And, I'm tongue-in-cheeking when I say that. The real point here to what you said, Joshy, is Mark Murphy was the one that stuck his neck out, which is cool, right? Like, I can get down with that. You're not a real owner. You're not, right? You're a president, CEO, you're a figurehead. You are the leader of the organization, without a doubt. But it's a little bit different. Your relationship with the other owners is different than the other 31.
Yes.
Your relationship with the league is different than the other 31. And so Mark Murphy is going to be the guy that leads the charge. I imagine it will be very similar with Ed Policy. I could be wrong on that. Maybe he treats this a little bit differently, given his family background. Obviously, his father, Carmen Policy, was a long time, was it GM with the 49ers? What was his exact title?
I don't know exactly.
Carmen Policy, but he was a long-time football operations leader in San Francisco and very successful during his time there. So it could be a little bit different, but I would imagine it's likely more of the same. When I look at the tush push, directly though, Joshy, the thing I do struggle with is, to me, it's a rugby play. It's not a football play.
Right.
I don't like it. We played the A.J. Dillon audio on Monday where he said, look, if you can't stop a play, that's on you. I do agree with that, right? If you can't find ways to stop it, that ultimately is on you if it's viewed as a legal football play. And again, this year it would be viewed as a legal football play. The unfair part of it is only one team has really been able to master it, right? Philadelphia is the only team, time and time again, that has seen success from the tush push. Buffalo's seen some success with it. Green Bay even tried it a little bit last year with Tucker Kraft under center, and it worked occasionally. But no team is perfect with the tush push, except really the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, the Packers have stopped them.
They did stop them once.
I believe it was twice.
Was it twice?
Twice last year. The important thing to point out here is the Packers are getting all the attention, and frankly, I don't care. I don't think it's going to matter on the field. The Eagles can get off their corny little tweets, even though, from what I know, that play was actually the one that was stopped, the one that they featured, which it isn't going to matter. People aren't going to notice that. We can know that and we can laugh at it. But 22 other teams, it was a 22-10 vote. So the vast majority of the league does believe that the tush push should be banned. It's just they didn't get the 75% required. They needed 2 more teams to join their side. And one of the teams that has come out and said they were in support of it is a team with Justin Fields, who also says he and believes he's quite efficient at a similar play. It's simple to me that not aiding a runner or pushing or pulling was a rule that was in the rule books for a long time. It went away. This is obviously not the intent of how the NFL and the rule book envisioned it going. They didn't think somebody would just line up people and drive forward for a yard to either extend downs or get into the end zone. I found myself indifferent the whole time, but seeing the way I believe Diana Rossini called it, they were like trying to whip votes like you would in Congress, like Jeffrey Lurie and the executives were calling around trying to get support.
I mean, it was,
and then they brought Jason Kelce.
Yeah, Jason Kelce spoke
to be like a sponsor. The degree to which they are trying to make sure this play doesn't get banned should tell you everything you need to know about it deserving to be banned, because they view it as such a distinct advantage that they have over everyone else. And on offense, to me, cements it shouldn't be there.
Brother Josh is preaching right now. Final count was 22-10. The Packers needed 24 votes to ultimately pass that, which means, do you think Jason Kelce has the pull to swing 2 votes? And my answer to that, Joshy, is yes. I do think Jason Kelce and Jeffrey Lurie, essentially groveling the way they did the last couple of days, probably swung 2 votes. And that tells you how darn close it was to getting banned. That leads me to this prediction: it'll be banned next offseason. 2 teams are going to see it that don't like it and can't stop it this year, and that will swing their vote.
Gabe and I talked about on Jen, Gabe and Chewy. I think with the way the Eagles have handled this, because they put out the 26-minute YouTube video of tush pushes of the taunting the Packers for push on, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear about a new rule emphasis that makes its way, that we're made aware of before it starts, that makes it something to do with either the way the Eagles align their lineup. Because often, if you look down the line of a tush push, the guards are regularly ahead of the ball.
Center.
Like it's not. They are so jam-packed in there, and their spacing isn't correct in the way they're lined up. I wouldn't be surprised if they find some wrinkle around it that makes it either slightly less effective, or because if you get flagged for it, if you line up off sides, now it's 4th and 5. Are you going to try and run the same play? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's not long for this world. I also think there might be ways to railroad it in a way that the NFL can go about it. And let's be honest here. If you've heard, I always reference David Sampson. He's the former executive, for the Miami Marlins. And he talks about these owner meetings. And basically it is factions who are friends or have relationships that you basically lobby within. So you leverage your personal relationships that already exist to sort of me versus them. Mm-hmm. And what you end up doing is, regardless of what the person thinks of it, they'll do you a favor oftentimes and then vote for something that you approve of. Now, will that last? I don't know. Because as much as Jeffrey Lurie might swing a big stick and the Eagles ownership, the bigger stick in the room is still Roger Goodell, and he wants it banned. So,
Yeah, and again, I that's what I ultimately believe will happen. So we'll see.
We've got kids here filming TikToks like crazy and
Of
waving,
us?
and no, of themselves and waving to me every couple minutes here.
All right,
I'm trying my best.
I guess in this context, we are the four owners of Mr. Irrelevant. Myself, you, Will, and Hunter. I think we should take a vote on whether or not Josh can face the Third Street Market Hall going forward. You are easily distracted.
I mean, a kid walked up to the window and waved at me until I responded, and I was in the middle of speaking. That's not like it happens every day.
You could be a professional and just ignore it.
Yeah.
Just keep moving on. Do the show, man.
I think I was quite professional. Could you tell as I was talking that there was a kid standing there waving in my face?
I know.
People on
you.
YouTube could see you just suddenly waving out of nowhere with no context.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
distracting for the YouTube viewers.
But they could be waving at the
Listen
YouTube
to my
viewers.
words. You're not really looking at us anyways.
That's fair.
You
We're
don't
not
know
much to
that.
look at.
Okay. I do want to get to this. Matt LaFleur appearing on Up and Adams with Kay Adams, FanDuel Network, today. They recorded the interview yesterday, and I didn't pull this audio because it just hurt my feelings. So Kay Adams tweeted out yesterday that Matthew Patrick LaFleur will be appearing on the Up and Adams show. And then when he jumped on the Zoom session with her, they released this clip last night. He said, I don't know who Patrick is. My middle name is Robert, old Bobby. And so then he said, Wikipedia is not a reliable source. And that upset me because, as you all know, I'm very much on the record saying that Wikipedia is my favorite mobile app, or certainly one of them. I do love my cesspool of Twitter, but Wikipedia is great.
Any other apps you want to mention? Given the opportunity here?
Yeah, I think everybody should download the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Good job.
Of course.
Thank you.
That's actually my favorite app.
And you can move Mr. Irrelevant right to the top.
You can. That's true.
And you can make sure you don't miss a single episode.
Or you can
so
put it like
actually
number
what
2,
happened-
where I have it right after Prep Mania.
The hell was that?
I had to get my own plug-in.
In there too?
Yeah, a little.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Got
but
dissent amongst the ranks.
yeah, we certainly do. Well, good word choice. Mm-hmm. You're a vocab guy. So I tweeted out over the weekend that Wikipedia is my favorite app. And what Josh is referencing is our boss reached out to me then in a public forum and said, hey, man, ESPN Wisconsin app, remember? Is that your favorite app? I said, yeah, of course it is.
I'm going to stop us and go back to the Tush Push quickly because
Got it.
Adam Schefter 2 minutes ago tweeted out the teams that voted against the Tush Push being banned. And let me tell you, the names and the teams are not surprising if you think tough football guys.
Can I guess?
Sure.
So I'm going to start with the Eagles, obviously.
Yes.
The Bills have to be on there.
Not on there.
Shocking. They ran at the second
the Bills
most.
came out and said, I believe it was DaCosta?
Yeah.
Came out and said they were anti, but they used it because they had an advantage, much
Right.
like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles.
Sure. Okay, well, then it'd be like Lions,
Yep.
Ravens.
Yep.
Chiefs?
Nope. There's one guy who both of his former teams are on here. Well, one's his current
So
team.
Chargers, Niners? Is it Jim Harbaugh?
No, it is Patriots and the Titans. Of course,
Oh, Vrabel.
Yeah. Be a man.
Who else?
Eagles, Ravens, Browns, Lions, Jaguars, Dolphins, Patriots, Saints, Jets, Titans. That's a whole list of people where you go, makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
If you look at either what's on their team or what their coaches represent, it's a lot of unsurprising names.
That is a lot of unsurprising names. You're not wrong about that. Okay, there you go. There's your Tush Push commentary for hopefully the next year. Hopefully that, you think that covers us for the next calendar year?
No.
I mean, it's not
Other
gonna
than
be
week
done.
10. Other than week 10 when the
Yes,
Packers play the
it's-
Eagles.
There's going to be a whole feature on it.
Yeah, there probably will be. You're right about that. Do want to get to this, though. Matt LaFleur on Up and Adams, not the Wikipedia thing. Asked about playing in the NFC North, which, as we know, was the best division of football last year, right? 3 playoff teams, 3 double-digit win teams in the Lions, Vikings, and Packers. And, Will, I'll give you credit. Josh, you don't call me a Bears fan. It seems like the Bears might be on the up and up.
How so?
Save that for another day. Good division is ultimately my point here. NFC North, very good division, best division in football last year. So Matt LaFleur asked by Kay Adams about the NFC North. Here was his response on Up and Adams.
Yeah, it's. I think they're all rivals, and certainly when Detroit is, I mean, right now they're the class of the NFC. I mean, I know they didn't win the Super Bowl, but I think it's kind of March Madness when you get down to that point.
The Lions are the class of the NFC. It's hard to argue against that the last 2 years. They've been dominant. They've won a ton of ball games, and they made it to an NFC Championship game 2 years ago. What I would say, though, is he too classy? Because when I heard this, I went back to like some of the other NFC North coaches, and I will go ahead and excuse Kevin O'Connell from the conversation for a moment. Remember Ben Johnson taking shots at him this offseason?
Yes.
In his press conference, that would be the Bears head coach and former Lions offensive coordinator. And Dan Campbell's just kind of a meathead. I don't think anything's personal when he's talking about the Packers. But LaFleur complimenting the Lions the way he did, do we like that? Despite the fact I'm not even sure if I agree with him. I would probably put the Niners more ahead of the Lions as the class of the NFC recently, despite not making the playoffs last year. So I don't know. I struggle with it.
Getting distracted.
Yeah, there is 4 people waving to Kyle Wallace from Kyle Breston Ortman on 101.7 The Truth right now. Yeah,
I view Matt LaFleur's approach to a similar approach I preach to everybody who works in the business we do. Of there's going to be some negative attention. You can either stoop to the level and meet it with the same, or you can be above it because you view yourself as better than petty little war of words.
Sure.
And I think handling it that way is the more respectful way, is the more graceful way, and is a good way to not have things spin out of control on you. You know, like...
Speaking of which...
Yes. Is to... If you address it...
Hold on, time out. Well, I don't want to look. How many people are standing against the glass right now?
Oh, they just walked away.
I can't really tell. There's kind of a glare, but I can see them moving around and making TikToks back there.
But if you fan the flames of this and get your team agitated, that's like how mistakes happen.
Sure.
And we've seen the Packers have a discipline issue. If your coach can't show discipline in those moments, how are you going to expect your team to? So I think Matt LaFleur is approaching this the exact way he should. I think maybe after a press conference or maybe after you beat one of these teams, because let's be frank, what real shots are you going to be taking at the Lions right now as Matt LaFleur? They've eaten your lunch.
Yeah, 6 of the last 7 games you've played.
Ben Johnson, you don't have a lot to say to him directly. The Bears, sure, they won that last game, but Matt LaFleur has lost to the Bears how many times in his career? 1. Yeah, so... that would be low-hanging fruit. That would be picking on the little brother in that case. So it's just, it is what it is. I think he should. I think he handled it the right way and the way I'd want my head coach to handle it.
Fair enough. I won't argue with that necessarily. I just, I hear that and I go, okay, as long as you're not scared of them, right? As long.
Yeah, I don't think
I want you looking forward to beating some ass week 1. Because look, we talked about this during the schedule release a week ago. This week 1 matchup between the Packers and the Lions feels even bigger than that Thanksgiving matchup the Packers won a few years ago. It feels like this is a team, to your point, who has eaten the Packers' lunch the last several seasons under the direction of their head coach, Dan Campbell. Week 1 serves as an opportunity to say, not only do we belong in the conversation of the NFC North, the NFC, the Super Bowl competition in the NFC, right? The Packers do believe, and I believe at this point, prior to the 2025 season, they do belong in the conversation. But where do they belong in the conversation? A win week 1 tells me this is a team who isn't afraid of the Detroit Lions. This is a team who isn't afraid of what Matt LaFleur describes as the class of the NFC. This is a team who's ready to compete and take that next step in 2025. This is a team who is ready to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl in 2025. And you have all offseason to prepare for that matchup on your home field at Lambeau Field week 1 against the Detroit Lions. This one, just to me, and maybe it's because of the excitement of football season, right? We're in the rut of no football right now. But it just feels bigger. It just feels like this is the matchup that you kind of been waiting for, right? You're going to scratch the itch of coming back to football in the biggest way imaginable. If you were playing the Bears week 1, I don't feel this way. If you were playing the Vikings week 1, I don't feel this way. If you were playing the Commanders week 1, I don't feel this way. The only way I feel the way I feel, which is this game just means more, is if we're playing one of two teams, the Lions or the Eagles, who just won the Super Bowl. And you've got the Detroit Lions at home, all offseason to prepare for them, a team that's beaten you 6 of the last 7 times you faced, and a team that's won your division the last 2 years. It's time to put yourself right back in that conversation. You have the opportunity week 1 to catapult yourself not only to the front of the NFC North, but to the top of the NFC contenders conversation right out of the gates. Now, obviously, you still have a lot to prove after that point. You have 16 games remaining in the season, but a win week 1 over the Lions, I think, just means a little bit more to the Packers in 2025. That's where I'm at. All right. I do want to get to the Giannis and Bucks meeting that is taking place, or allegedly taking place, according to Chris Haynes, sometime this week. I kind of want to imagine what that meeting looks like because I'm fascinated by it. But something else I'm fascinated by is something we do each and every Wednesday on this program. Former intern, turned to part-time producer, and sometimes co-host, one-time co-host of this very program.
Yep, one-time co-host.
We're going to keep track of that stat for us.
Two-time producer of this show.
That's true. Monday's show being one of them, with Hunter in a big company meeting. It's time now to recap the previous week, Wednesday to Wednesday. It's time now for Will Sommers Wednesday week in review.
Yeah, we're going to start with some PGA Championship action that took place over the weekend. Brooks Koepka had a rough weekend as he was 9 over after Friday and did not make the cut. But at least he was properly representing the LIV Tour by living his best life as he was spotted buying a 30-pack of beer at a gas station right after his outing and getting cut. Scottie Scheffler was the biggest story of last year's PGA Championship at Valhalla in Louisville as he was arrested before his round for a traffic violation. During this year's tournament at Quail Hollow, Scheffler would go on to win the tournament. Scheffler's journey from jail to Quail included him going 11 under par to win, which must have inspired 11 inmates from Louisiana who escaped from jail through a wall behind the toilet in a cell this past weekend and left a note saying, "Too easy, LOL." Also, a crazy stat, since 2002, Scottie Scheffler has more wins than the Carolina Panthers. With Timothy Chalamet in attendance, the Knicks climbed the dune that is the Celtics on Friday and beat them in 6 games to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Tom Tippett, don't get too comfortable, stuck to his game plan as he played all of his starters over 30 minutes despite winning by 38 points. The Toronto Maple Leafs took on the Florida Panthers in a Game 7 matchup on Sunday. The Leafs looked to advance in hopes of breaking the curse of them not winning a Stanley Cup since 1967. But in typical Toronto fashion, they would leaf their hockey ability at home and lose 6-1. Justin Bieber asked, "Is it too late now to say sorry?" as he was in attendance, which led to Drake saying that there may be a Bieber curse now instead of the Drake curse. The Thunder and the T-Wolves faced off in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals last night. After trailing for a majority of the first half, the Thunder stormed back behind Shai Gilgeous-Alexander flopping like a fish out of water to get to the line and score 31 en route to a 114-88 win over the T-Wolves. It was a rough weekend for Juan Soto as Yankees fans turned their backs to him during his return to Yankee Stadium. And in a game against the Red Sox, he looked like Juan Slow-Mo after not running out of the box and only getting a single after hitting a ball off the left field wall. Last thing I got for today, I'd like to address the Caleb Williams reports again, where his camp wasn't wrong about anything, and if anything, they were right because Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron were not good, which shows his intelligence. With your week to week?
Oh, no.
We had such a good session.
Caleb Williams got in his mind.
I'm Will Sommers.
All right. It was good.
The dismount could have used some work, but hey, we're building.
We're building. Gil flopping like a fish. Juan Slow-Mo. There's some good pops in there.
Has nothing to do with what we usually talk about, but the right field bleachers of the Yankees and how they do the roll call and the turn.
I love it.
So corny.
Yeah, it's
so
very
lame.
cringy.
So cringy. If you see the people doing it,
Aaron!
it's so embarrassing.
Aaron Judge! Oh, it's so good.
Watching the video of the guy who leads it too just makes me so mad. I want to slap that guy in his little lips.
Yo, Joshy! Joshy D!
See?
Joshy D!
No.
And I'm the one who's not nice and says things about you being annoying as you scream about
What about the guy that goes to Giants games and chirps the outfielders, but it's always like random stuff like, hey, Joshy, I heard you don't like, or like you like ketchup on your hot dogs, you bum. And then like when it's the Giants are out there, then it's like compliments. I've seen that on TikTok.
I've seen that on TikTok, and the fact that it's filmed and put out there makes me not like it because you're trying to make there's a main character syndrome that we have an issue in America with.
Oh, here we go.
Where everybody thinks and goes to, it happens at concerts a lot where people dress up in wild costumes, or they bring their Nintendo DS and play games, or they'll bring a chessboard and play somebody like in the middle of a mosh pit. Just be normal. It's not about you. This whole thing isn't about you, Mr. Right Field Bleachers or Mr. Yelling at Fan. Just go attend the thing, appreciate that you're there and what you're witnessing. You're not the attraction.
Wow. Pretty good, Josh.
As I sit in front of a microphone.
I was just about to say, seems rich coming from you.
I also do go to concerts and mind my business.
That's fair. You love a good mosh pit, huh?
No.
You don't mosh?
No. I'm in my 30s.
So what?
I can't be showing up to work with a black eye because I got punched in the mosh pit at Knock Loose.
They don't punch. They just knock. You knock shoulders a little bit.
If
you fall, they'll help you out.
You're not going to the right mosh pits. I've seen broken arms.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some damage done. Don't get me wrong.
I've seen lost teeth. I've
only fallen once, and I flew because I'm not the most compact human.
Imagine me coming home from one of my hardcore concerts, and I have to tell Mussolini that I got to go get my glasses repaired because they got broken in a mosh pit.
She'd laugh at that.
No, she'd call me an idiot.
Well, she does that anyway.
Correct. Even more of an idiot.
But, Josh, isn't there something to be said? Like, why can't people just have fun? Like, if they're having fun, like, whatever. What does it matter? Unless it's, like, putting themselves or someone else in danger, just let people be people.
I'm team.
Why you got to judge people so much?
The let people have fun is what if the person next to you would rather not listen to you scream at the outfield and film yourself and post it on TikTok? What if that's the case? Why can't you allow those people to enjoy themselves a game?
It's fair too. All right,
I think you're really judgy. That's all.
Well, yeah.
What do you mean you think?
I know, and I'm just saying that I think you need to let people just be people. Just leave people alone.
No, clearly we can't let people be people. And because if you don't, you end up with people like this.
Okay, real quick, before we get to this Giannis Bucks thing, eventually One Word Wednesday, and then what we learned. Josh, if you were not with Good Karma Brands, ESPN Wisconsin, if you were not working the job you currently do you think there's any chance you would be a police officer?
No, never. I'm not a snitch.
Snitches get stitches.
Crazy question.
Great answer.
I just feel like you're not. Well, yes, you like power. We know this about you. You enjoy power.
Just because the one time I was given power and knocked it out of the park doesn't mean I like it. It just means I rose to the occasion.
Loser.
Big difference.
No, not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you feel the responsibility.
Yes.
To check people.
Yes, because
check yourself before you wreck yourself.
We live in an infantilized era of time where it's just let people have fun. They can like Harry Potter into their 40s. No, grow up. It's a young adult novel. Be an adult.
What a random shot that was.
We live in an era where, like, Steve from Blue's Clues puts out a video and people are like, oh, this made me feel so good.
It does.
What do you mean? Be a grown-up.
It's him checking in on you.
I don't need a check-in from Steve from Blue's Clues. I'm not 12. I'm 30. I got bills to pay.
Excuse me, Josh. I'm so much better, well-adjusted than everyone else. Get off your high horse.
To do real-life things to rely on.
I'm 30. I got bills to pay is a great line.
It's crazy.
It's good stuff. All right. Big meeting this week. Speaking of being 30. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 30 years old. All the headlines in the NBA world swirling about where will Giannis play in 2025. Has Giannis played his last game with the Milwaukee Bucks? Well, that will be discussed this week as Chris Haynes reports the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo will have a meeting to discuss the future for both sides. And that's got me wondering, fellas, What does that meeting look like? In my head, I imagine that they are meeting, I don't know, maybe at like a restaurant, Joshy. Think like a little background music here. Sit down in an Italian restaurant, glass of wine in front. Giannis sits down. John Horst says, "Hey, Giannis, thanks for being here. Let's discuss what the future looks like." Giannis says, "I want to be here, John. I want to be a Milwaukee Buck." John says, "Great. Good news for you is you're going to be a Milwaukee Buck." Each of them have a sip of their wine, order maybe a little appetizer, a couple appetizers perhaps. What'd you just whisper to Will?
What the hell are we doing?
Yeah, this is weird.
Your tone is like you're trying to seduce me.
Is it working?
No. It's making me uncomfortable.
Like, they're going to have this meeting in an office.
Yeah, it's going
what
to
are we
be at the
talking about?
Pfizer Forum.
No. They're not going to do it at Pfizer.
You think Giannis, one of the biggest stars on earth, is just going to go out in public?
Private room.
You think Omar is going to have him at Carnivore?
Yeah, Carnivore.
Open the back room up for him?
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Be John Horst, be Giannis. And
They're going to do it.
gonna have a little good discussion.
They're going to do it where
wine and
everyone's
dine.
comfortable.
Wine and dine is comfortable.
They can cater. I'm sure Omar will bring it over.
Kill the background music then, or
Yes.
just make you feel good?
No, I don't like the background music.
Hey, pianist, can you turn that down a little bit? It's a little loud for my liking. Trying to appease Giannis here. I just imagine this meeting is uncomfortable because I don't think either side wants to let go. It's almost like if you're having like a state of affairs of your relationship conversation. Maybe that's when you head to the restaurant and wine and dine it. So we've been having some problems lately.
What's your vision for this portion of the program? What would you like me to say or do with what just happened?
Are you not fascinated by the idea of a meeting
No, I'm
between
not.
two sides that have worked together for,
No.
13 years, 12 years?
Nope. I think this happens with many of the stars throughout major sports. I think constantly checking in is part of the deal. I think it has added attention on it. Now, obviously, given the context of the the Bucks being in. I'm watching the Brewers game from yesterday over there on the TV. The Bucks being in.
Probably from the day. They're playing right now.
Yeah, they're live right now.
Could be. Being in such a situation where they have to sort of grovel in a way, where it's like, hey, we know things aren't great here, but we still think the best future for you is in Milwaukee. Like, I mean, college coaches talk about it. You have to constantly recruit your own team.
Sure.
You have to do that with superstars in the NBA.
And if I'm recruiting somebody, I'm going to have a little sax in the background.
I think you might have a worse chance. Giannis will say, are you trying to make a pass at me?
And then you're creating a hostile work environment, then HR gets
Yes.
involved, and then that's a whole thing.
Hard to say, but here's the thing.
I think I need
Hard
to
to
call
say
HR
that-
on what just happened.
Hard to say the answer's no.
Answer's no to what?
He's trying to make a pass on me.
No, we want you to be a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. This is business.
I still imagine, though, there's a little restaurant feel to it.
No. It has.
You think this is just a conference room?
Yes. It's a room lit very similar to this. Ceiling lights. Maybe a window to make it nice.
And all they're doing is sitting around a conference table drinking water saying, hey, here's my vision for the future.
Do you want me to reach out to Eric Name and try and get some info on where this meeting might take place? Because if I were to bet, it's not going to be in a dimly lit supper club with music playing and old fashions being served with the prime rib.
When my imagination runs wild, which is what happened here,
Yeah.
you're telling me this is just like a normal... because here's why my imagination's running.
It's
right?
akin to the meeting you're going to have in 30 minutes from now.
Yeah, that's fair.
In a room, people gathered around.
Just a little game plan talk.
Yes.
Okay. I guess the reason I view it differently than years past, because obviously there's exit interviews and there's conversations and yada yada about what the future looks like. Maybe in Giannis's case, obviously there's probably discussion of, hey, here's our game plan this offseason. Here's what we're targeting. Here's what we're looking at from a needs standpoint. This one feels different to me, though, because obviously it is more real than it's ever been that Giannis could leave the Bucks. Now, I think we all agree that we believe Giannis will be a Buck in 25-26 and going forward. But he could very well say, I don't think he will, I don't think he would, but he very well could say, I think it's best if I go elsewhere. I have somewhere I have a better chance to win a championship in the near future, and you get assets while I'm still under contract. That way, if I was to leave in free agency in 2 years, you get something rather than nothing.
Zippo.
Right. So that's why I think maybe my imagination has gone to another level of, hey, you gotta bring out your A game when it comes to the recruitment pitch for Giannis.
Kind of on your side here. Like,
Thank you.
I don't think it's exclusively a meeting for a conference room. I don't.
That's it. I'm sending the text message.
What if it's at like a Panera?
Just like up
hanging
in
out at
Menominee
Qdoba.
Falls. They're just like, oh, this is where we could, both meet up. Like, I just feel like because it's going to, Giannis is so involved in the team building that they're going to do it with a full like breakdown of like, okay, this is what we feel like we can do. These are the guys that we think would be unrestricted free agents and what that does for contracts. Like, they're going to have a full presentation here. I don't think they're going to be in the middle of a steakhouse whipping out the laptop to go over that stuff with Giannis. Like, that just feels weird.
I guess I hear why it sounds weird to you. But I think I'm roping you in now, Will. What me and Will are trying to communicate is this ain't no normal meeting. This isn't a normal off-season conversation. You've got to recruit your own players.
But
therefore, I think that's why you sexy it up a little bit.
No. You go the opposite route on that. You treat this like that the stakes are high. You know that it's important to make Giannis happy, but you want to go into it feeling like, yeah, this is just kind of a normal spot. This is how we do this meeting. Yeah. I don't want to make it a bigger deal. It's like the whole idea of a football team. You don't wear special uniforms when Ohio State's coming to town because the guys already know that playing Ohio State at Camp Randall is a big deal. You don't need to add to it by adding on special uniforms and all this extra stuff when in their minds they already know it's a big deal. You don't add more pressure onto yourself if you don't have to.
You don't need a fancy bottle of wine. Everyone in the room knows.
I just don't think it would hurt. I guess that's more the point I'm making. Okay, I assume you sent a text message.
I did. I haven't gotten a response yet.
Will you read it? Will you read what you wrote?
What?
Will you read what you wrote?
Yes.
You were texting Eric, name of The Athletic, and you sent him what?
Are the Bucks and Giannis meeting inside Fiserv Forum? Strouf has built a big thing in his head that they are going to a fancy steakhouse to wine and dine. I've gotten a response, and I then asked, can I share the response?
Okay, we will await the response. Otherwise, can you just give me a yes or no, or do you not think so?
It's not at a steakhouse.
Okay. Is it
never has been?
Never has been. Okay.
No.
So this is not the first time this has happened. But under these circumstances, is it at Fiserv Forum?
In Eric's article about the Supermax from 2020, they met where?
Fiserv Forum.
Giannis's house.
Oh. Okay.
There's strong indication that would likely be. We don't have any confirmation, and Eric didn't share any confirmation, but his understanding is that it would be at Giannis's house.
But hold on a minute. Know what that means?
I don't know what that means. I'm sure you don't either, but you're going to try and make it.
John Horst is bringing a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Jeez.
I was going to
Jim
say
Harbaugh in-home visit.
Yeah, it's an in-home visit.
You think
John Horst is bringing a sleeping bag.
You think they're showing up with like bags of food? Hey, Giannis, good to see you, buddy.
He's going to work out with Giannis.
The Jim Harbaugh approach is so good. Oh, man. That's so good. All right. But,
Sorry to shoot you down.
no, it's okay. I to be real honest with you, Josh, I knew it was incredibly unrealistic.
Yeah, that's even more confounding. Why you tried to whisper sweet nothings in our ears.
I think you enjoyed it.
The less you can whisper sweet nothing in my ear, the better I think we'd be as a team.
Garrett chimes in, let's go scope it out. And he was referring to the restaurant.
I was going to say, I don't think we should go camp out outside Giannis's house.
No,
I don't.
If that's even where it's happening. We don't know that.
We don't know. We don't know the day, the
we know
time.
nothing. Yeah, we know nothing. Chris Haynes reported, I think it was Sunday, that it will happen sometime this week. That could mean it may have already happened.
He even gave the distinction of midweek.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe it is today.
So
today is midweek.
Tuesday through Thursday, I think that would mean.
Okay. So it's actually incredibly likely this meeting already happened.
It could be done and over with.
Yeah.
It could be going on as we speak.
So jokes and stupid bits aside, I am really curious the tone of the meeting, right? Like, where did they begin? They already did exit interviews, so they're not reflecting anymore.
It's all Giannis sets the tone.
Right.
If Giannis is receptive to returning, you then make the case on why he should. If he is, you got to convince me, then you pivot. You change your plan.
The other thing I'm curious about, Joshy, is how do you start it? Right. And I know, you said, Giannis sets the tone, of course, right? He's the one who kind of dictates where the conversation heads. But do you just say, okay, here's what we're thinking for this offseason?
How you start it is you let Giannis start it. Tell us how you're feeling. Where are you at? Because the Bucks know, and Giannis knows, he's under contract. He can't go anywhere unless the Bucks allow him to go somewhere else. So you have to let him tell him where you're at, where he's at. Because as far as I know, if I'm John Horst, Giannis is going to be a Buck for the next 2 seasons.
Yes, he is.
And I'm going to enter that meeting with that idea unless I'm told otherwise. And then I can meet the told otherwise with, okay, we'll grant you that, or we're not willing to accept that. You're going to be a Buck, and if you would like to move on, you're going to have to go through your own avenues to do that.
Fair.
Because I'm unwilling to let the most important player in franchise history leave while I have him under contract for 2 more years. To me, that's how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes the way we all hope, they get together. Giannis says, I'm open to coming back. I would like to be a Buck for as long as possible. Now, what are we going to do to make ourselves contenders in the most immediate future? And then John Horst lays out a detailed plan on what they're going to do this offseason and in subsequent offseasons to make them championship contenders.
Ron McKee chimes in, was Eric Name's response, who is Strouf? No, it was probably more so, what the hell is wrong with Strouf?
He did not give any sidebars.
Just answered your question.
Just answered strictly business.
What a pro.
Good for him.
It's
not a pro.
As close as I am with Eric Name, I don't often text him for information. So generally, we keep it. I've probably done it twice ever, and it's been things akin to, where do you think they're going to meet? Which isn't like, hey, do you have the inside scoop on X, Y, and Z?
We're not looking for that.
No,
that's not what we're talking about here. I just want to know.
It's usually ancillary, strange
but
things.
Also, isn't it interesting to see how my brain works? Right? I'm not thinking about the ins and outs of. I didn't say it was fun interesting. I just think it can be bad interesting. I just, when I heard they were meeting this week, my mind immediately didn't go to, oh boy, I hope it goes well.
It's because you're a romantic.
I am.
That's what happened.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's a really good point.
You go and get
win me over.
You go and get your girlfriend from the airport instead of making her meet you outside.
That's true. That's right. Speaking of which, I got to bring Kyle Wallace to the airport tomorrow, and I'm allegedly picking him up on Memorial Day Monday. And he said, I have to come into the airport to pick him up.
How did you agree to taking him to and picking him up?
Agreed.
So it happened on the air. So Monday's show, which
on Mem Day,
on Mem Day,
I'm gonna be having brewskis, bro.
He flies in super early, so I can get the brewskis after. I think his plane lands at like 8:30.
But the problem is waking up early and probably gonna have some night before brewskis.
I will be having some night before brewskis. That part I can totally confirm, but that's all right. I'll be okay. It's 8:30. It's not like it's 5 in the morning.
He's 30.
He could, but also like, it's not anything I can't do, you know? So on Monday's show, and we got to get to one Wednesday and what we learned, so I'll make this quick. But we we obviously do this show till 1:30. So they are meeting from 1 to 1:30 about game planning kind of the show. So I don't always know what they're leading the show with. All they told me was it's a surprise. And usually if that's the language, I just agree. And at some point, Kyle goes, "Hey, Strouf, you're picking me up and dropping me off at the airport." And I said, "Okay, when?" He told me the dates. I said, "All right, sure, I can do that." That was that. That was the end of the conversation.
You're a sucker.
No, I'm a good guy.
Sucker.
No,
Soft.
you're like a guy.
No backbone.
No, that's you when it comes to moving. You will always say yes.
It's true, but that's from previous putting people through helping me move as somebody who's moved, and I'm not exaggerating, roughly 16 times in their life.
You move a lot.
Yeah.
Now, we do this each and every Wednesday. Hunter's got a list of topics. Joshy and I. Well, you want to play today?
I'm in.
Let's play some One Word Wednesday. Hunter throws a topic at us. We'll all answer with one word. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Let's play a little One Word Wednesday.
The Milwaukee Brewers have won 3 in a row. They're down 1-0. I think it's still 1-0. Let me look.
That's correct. Yep.
Yep, 1-0 to the Orioles right now. But yeah, they've won 3 in a row.
Yeah. How about fire? A little fire under the bums after Pat Murphy says we didn't spend any money in free agency.
Yawn.
Gonna say uphill. Just with how good the NL is this year, you're kind of just going to have to win the NL Central.
No, you definitely do, yeah.
The Orioles are dead. They're a dead team.
They are dead. They already fired their manager. That's how dead they are.
They're the perfect salve for the struggles.
Salve?
Salve.
A Tor? Who had a home run last night?
No.
And a triple the night before?
Stinky.
Anyway, I went and saw Sinners last night. I'm going to say this. Best movie that I have seen in the last 5 years.
Uninformed. I don't know what that is.
I think
You need to go
my
see
word's
it.
expected.
Is that good? Expected.
Expected, no. It really, because how many good movies have come out in the past 5 years?
Hunter's a big movie guy, though, I would say. Right? Like, he was big on I'm
Dune.
going to blank on it. Dune 2? Yeah.
Yep, Dune 2, Dune, Nosferatu.
If I'm not mistaken, you were also a big fan of the Barbie movie?
Yes, Barbie, Oppenheimer.
So Sinners is the best movie. Okay. I'm
Yes.
uninformed. I don't really know what that is. I know it's Michael B. Jordan. That's like all I know.
Yeah, he plays.
I don't know anything about what it's
He
about.
plays a set of twins in it. So
Oh, fun.
good. Highly recommend it. You'll love the
think Tyler
music,
Perry?
Strouf.
Tyler Perry.
Yeah, I'll just say intriguing. I haven't seen it yet, but I like movies.
You're a big movie guy, too,
Yeah, big
yeah.
movie guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
go see
I
it.
haven't watched a movie bell to bell in 3 years.
I finished the show You last night. You guys ever heard of that?
Yeah, it's trash.
Yeah, I tried one episode,
Never mind.
couldn't make it through. Sucked.
Garbage.
The New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers game 1 tonight.
East.
Wow. So original.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Bing bong. I'm all in on the Knicks.
2 words.
Bing
Well,
dash bong.
Will actually put in effort, so his still wins that one. Like, the two
Well,
of you
my
suck.
effort.
No, stop,
My-
Josh.
Chalamet.
We're on to the
Chalamet.
we're on to
Yeah,
the fourth
there you
one.
go.
Chalamet.
We're on to the fourth
My
one.
effort. My effort was
Rumors
to
are Bill
prove how
Belichick
bad this
and
was.
Jordan Hudson are engaged.
Yeah, congratulations to the happy couple. I did see the report said Jordan Hudson has told at least one person that her and Belichick are engaged. That's the report. So
I'm
take it
just
for
going to
what's
go unfinished. This story, as it pertains to Jordan and Bill Belichick, it feels like we know a lot. I have a sneaking suspicion we've simply scratched the surface.
worth. Ooh, I like that.
I'm going to go 9 because Bill Belichick's boat got a new paint job where it has his 8 Super Bowl championships on it, but now it says +1, which I'm assuming is Jordan's Miss America championship.
Oh. I don't know what that has to do with them being engaged, but I like it.
Because it says rings on it.
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't know she was Miss America?
I don't know if she won it.
She won like Miss something or other, though. Yeah. Okay.
She has a ring.
clearly, they're engaged.
The ninth ring in the relationship.
Well, now 10th, wouldn't it be? Because they're engaged now.
Well,
That would be the 10th.
yeah.
Okay.
And then 11th once they're actually married, because then he gets one too.
Bill will get a ring, yeah.
Yeah. Finally, Oklahoma City is 7.5-point favorites for Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals against Minnesota. They'll play that on Thursday night.
I know it's an acronym, but MVP. SGA was terrific last night. I think they're now minus in terms of the 4 teams remaining to win the finals. I think they're minus 125 to win the finals. Oklahoma City is after game 1. They're really good. Thunder up.
Thunder up. Ant. I think Anthony Edwards is somehow the guy who gets heaps of praise but avoids any criticism when he doesn't play well. For whatever reason, he's in a sweet spot right now where the story should be the lack of performance from burgeoning superstar Anthony Edwards, and I don't think that's... I've seen more about SGA and his ability to draw fouls than I have anything about the game you saw from Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I'm going to go unserious. If I have to watch SGA play in the NBA Finals with the amount of just foul baiting he does, I'll be pretty frustrated. It was pretty hard game to watch last night.
That was a hard watch.
Here's a question I have. And correct me if I'm being obtuse.
Oh, boy.
Is what SGA did yesterday not just an inherent part of the game? Isn't it just basketball?
I mean, I would vote it's just basketball.
Right. And sure, there are cases, and James Harden was one for a while that was sort of doing playing I shouldn't say similar style, but drawing fouls in a similar way. Sometimes contact isn't even happening.
Sure.
But this has been LeBron's whole thing.
Yeah.
This is
It's not abnormal.
It's a winning strategy, and I don't know why people who love the NBA so much are up in arms when it happens. This happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, he shot 14 of Oklahoma City's 26 free throws. The Timberwolves as a team shot 21. Right? So, yes, foul baiting, sure, I hear you. But it's just a part of basketball as well. So I think you're right on that.
It's also one thing when you're doing it to like stop a run, but it was first play of the game. SGA is like leaning into people, just chucking up shots.
It's what you got to do when you're, how tall is he? 6'3"?
It's like 6'5", I think.
6'6". Yeah, but still, I mean, you're a point guard. It's not like you're the most muscular human on the court. You're not the biggest. I don't know. Last night turned into an ugly watch, though, without a doubt. Timberwolves led at halftime. Third quarter, Oklahoma City blew it open, and then fourth quarter, it was never a game. So there's that. Was that the last one, or do we have one more?
You told me to do 5. I did 5. You cut me in half, and now you're shocked that it was short.
Like, my bad. I just wasn't counting. I wasn't sure if we were done or not. I was just asking.
I literally led it with final one today, and then you still ask. Like, it'd just be nice if you'd listen to me. That's all I'm saying. Like, I feel like sometimes you hear me, but you don't actually listen.
Hunter, is this a conversation you may have had in other avenues of your life? Because it sounds oddly reminiscent to conversations I've had.
Maybe. Yeah, it definitely has.
Wow. That really evolved. That really escalated quickly. You learn something new every day. We learn something new tonight. Time now for What We Learned right here on Mr. Relevant, which is presented by our friends at Door County Distillery. Locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County. We'll be up there in a few weeks. Friday the 13th, June 13th. Hunter and I will be live from Door County Distillery in Carlsville. Make sure if you're heading up to Door County this summer, do the tours, do the tastings. Stop in, check it out. It is an awesome building, connected to a whole bunch of other things, might add. And really cool, unique product up there as well. But if you are in Stevens Point, if you are in Green Bay, if you are in Milwaukee, if you are in Madison, Door County Distillery is right in your backyard, wherever great liquor is sold, whether it's gin, vodka, rums, brandies, my favorite, the whiskeys. Make sure you elevate your Memorial Day weekend. DoorCountyDistillery.com is the website to find the retailer nearest you, as well as a huge list of unique cocktail recipes. That's DoorCountyDistillery.com. Josh, you seem eager.
I feel like there's one thing that we haven't discussed yet that probably deserves some airtime.
Well, that's what I was getting to. I believe we're on the same page here.
The Brett Favre.
Yeah, my what we learned is I feel really icky today. I watched the Brett Favre documentary, The Untold Story, on Netflix last night, and it was an hour and 3 minutes. It's worth your time. It's I think every Packers fan should watch it. I'm not saying it was the best documentary in the world.
Now, should I watch it not being a Packers fan?
I would still watch it, yes.
See, but as a Wisconsin resident, Hunter, I think you know a lot of the stuff about Brett Favre.
Yeah, I think I knew everything outside of a few things, small details that were thrown in there.
I guess I know more about Jen Sturger than I did, even though I did know some of her backstory with the FSU Brent Musburger thing.
Yeah.
But some of that, I guess they added context to.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, Brett Favre, not a great guy.
Nope.
And I don't think if you, and there's still people out there, I saw a few earlier today when we talked about Jen Gabrichuri, there are still staunch Brett Favre defenders.
Yeah.
Which seems to me an impossibility, but you are free to do whatever you like in America and believe whatever you would like as well. I thought it was underwhelming. I don't think they got as close to Favre as they originally hoped when they planned it.
Yeah, I mean, he declined to obviously be interviewed for the documentary.
And
I imagine a lot of other people did.
Nobody who was really even in his orbit, even the people they kind of used as subject matter experts, were on the outside.
The only one that even was a little bit inside that they utilized quite a bit was Peter King, the longtime NFL
being
writer.
In the room with the bus cook and yes, but there's a lot to unearth about Brett Favre and his life and the things that happened around his life that I don't think they would have to push too hard to if they knew the right places to go.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think they left a lot on the table. I found some of the casting decisions in terms of people was quite interesting.
Yeah, agreed.
I did like seeing Ron Wolf, him recounting.
Yeah, agreed.
That was cool. But there's a lot of people who've been wronged by Brett Favre more than Jen Sturger and the people they had. And for whatever reason, they didn't unearth those people.
Yeah, I noticed that. Agreed. If you're a Packers fan and you followed a lot of the Favre saga, essentially since he left Green Bay, well over 15 years ago now, a lot of this already. It wasn't, to use your word on unearth, it wasn't groundbreaking journalism.
No.
But it was storytelling. It was recapping what has happened and all the controversies he finds himself in. And it was interesting. But yeah, I mean, you feel weird about it, and it's not the first time you're hearing a lot about it, but it is a reminder of probably not the best person in the world. But
I also think they used on more than one occasion people who seemed like they knew what they were talking about that didn't actually know what they were talking about.
That I agree with as well.
And I think anybody who even paid attention remotely to the Packers and Brett Favre back then could probably end up talking about it in a way that seemed convincing, just having general knowledge of it without having really any intimate knowledge. Yeah.
How do you feel coming out of it? Like I said, I felt a little icky.
I feel the same as I have about Brett.
Yeah, okay. Which is still icky.
Yeah. It didn't make me feel any. I understand well what happened. I think Jen Sturger was also very unfairly treated in the media, and what happened to her was not fair. I also think when it comes to the misappropriation of funds, I'm well aware of how insidious that is.
Yeah.
And there was nothing there that made me go, oh, this is worse than I thought. Just go, yeah.
No, tend to agree.
This is what I thought.
I never went, holy crap, that's horrible.
Right.
And obviously, I feel like everything he's done is horrible, but I felt that way 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. So.
Yes, as the things continue to come out, it's like, yeah.
I still think, though, and maybe Josh disagrees, but I think if you haven't seen it and you're a Packers fan, it's worth your time. It's an hour long. It's not super long. No.
But if you've got an hour to spare and you're looking for something, maybe you're a little hungover on Mem Day, pop it on.
Mem Day. All right, that will do it for us today. Thanks to Will. Thanks to Hunter. Thanks to Joshy, as always. We'll be back with you Friday beginning at 12:30 Central, ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube. Josh, you're not off Friday, are you?
Unfortunately not.
Great.
So
Seems
glad
like
you were excited about being on the show. So awesome.
We'll talk to you Friday. Peace.